Hi, I'm back, and I'm back with a build renovation this time around because, you see, a very long time ago, I built a graveyard on this lot here. This is in the neighborhood in Willow Creek that is on the top left side of the screen. And originally there is this really ugly modern house here. This is also in the neighborhood that I built my campsite in, which is the very first video here on this channel. And then this graveyard actually predates that, so I built this quite a long time, I think, actually, before I started making videos. And since this is for my save file where I try to limit packs, this only uses the base game too. And I actually really like what I did here, but I also have some problems with it. But I do really like, for example, my use of the terrain tools and the way it's like lowered down. But I overall don't really like the layout that much. I feel like this lot is kind of boring the way it is right now. And I do also want to make the graves themselves cooler, because here I just kind of place them. And I also, as you can see, kind of painted some dirt in front of them in every little square. And I do think it's fun in a way, because I did try to kind of emulate the way that graves are often drawn in cartoons. But I realized coming back here that the implication from that might just be that all of the graves here are fresh, which I don't really like the thought of. So I wanted to come up with a new design for the graves and also just make this lot more interesting while keeping the things that I already like about it. And the first addition that I decided to give this place to make it a bit more interesting is I decided to build a funeral home here, which, who knows, might just become actually functional when you see this. Because when you see this, the new expansion will release literally today. Meanwhile, I'm recording this in mid-September, so I have absolutely no clue about it yet. All I know at this point is they said in a teaser that it's going to be called Life and Death. And that's it. But so I'm anticipating for them to add actual funerals, because I think that would make a lot of sense, and I do believe that's also something that fans have asked for. And maybe they'll even add an actual graveyard lot type, maybe even to the base game, so we might be able to switch this to be an actual graveyard. But you know, that's just speculation for me at this point. This is going to be so funny to like watch back and just listen to me talk about this. But I'm quite confident. I actually did predict for rent in a way in a video that I made before, because I made a video where I like built fake row houses, and I was kind of like, imagine if in the new expansion pack we could actually make something like this that is functional. And you know, that actually ended up being a thing. To be fair, I was not exactly envisioning the same thing that For Rent brought, because I was more so thinking about like locked row houses. I was imagining they could be like similar to the apartments in San Myshuno, for example, where you like can't change the exterior and you also can't change the shape of your apartment on the inside either. But from what I say, it sounds like I was spot on, so I guess that's all that counts, isn't it? I do also think that it might be likely that we're getting a Grim Reaper courier of some kind, because if I remember correctly, people said that we had something like that in one of these surveys that they did a couple of years ago, where, you know, they kind of do these surveys sometimes where they ask fans about what they want and what they like and so on and so forth. And so I'm pretty sure we had something like that in one of those surveys before. And I'm sure that they like keep all of the options that they write down in there in mind, and so maybe they're using this now. I also have some more Unhinged predictions that I'm not sure if they're very likely to come, but I would love to see something like them, which is, for one, I think it would be cool if this pack kind of gives ghosts an overhaul and maybe also gives them a skill tree of some type, with how, for example, the vampires work or the werewolves. Similarly, I think it could be very cool if they added zombies. We actually did have zombies in The Sims 3, and I think a lot of people really did not like the zombies, so maybe that's why they wouldn't want to add them. But I actually really liked them. I thought they were kind of funny, which is pretty dumb because they were objectively a nuisance. I can acknowledge that. But as a kid, I found it kind of exciting that every time there is a full moon, there were zombies on my lot. And then another even crazier prediction that I would love to see, but it's probably not going to happen, is do you know how the spellcaster have like their alternate magical world? I think it would be cool if they added like an afterlife thing that you could go to, but I don't really know how exactly I imagine it. It's just a cool idea, I think. Yeah, I think it could be really cool if you could like go on a quest to like the realm of the dead and maybe bring back a sim from there in order to revive them or something, which obviously would have to be like super difficult and everything. And also this just sounds like a lot of work to implement. That is another reason why I don't think this would ever come, is because EA would just be like, nah. Overall, this is so sad, but overall I feel like there's probably not going to be that much in this pack. To me, a lot of the packs that have released recently kind of didn't feel like they were really worth the money, especially like the $40 ones. But anyway, back to the build. I kind of got stuck on how I wanted the graves to look, so I looked up some inspiration online, and here is a post that I found on Reddit, and I really liked this grave design, so I decided to kind of steal this a little bit. Obviously, I'm still kind of doing my own thing, but you can really tell that there is influence from this. So shout out to that person for the inspiration who posted that. And another thing that I decided to do about the landscaping here is, since this is a build for my save file, I wanted to make it match with the rest of the neighborhood here. And like I said, this is the same neighborhood that I built that campsite in. So this is kind of in my head like a foresty area sort of, so I decided to add a lot more trees and like hedges and stuff, and so you're going to see me place those in. And I think that also makes this lot just way more interesting, because all of the trees obviously throw shadows, and I feel like the shadows just add a lot more visual interest. As you are able to see, I also made that center section that is sort of lower down a lot smaller than compared to how it was before, and that was just to give us more space here on the surface. Also in the original I had lots of pinky flowers, but here I went for more of a purple color scheme for them, although it's really subtle because it's really only the flowers that are in this color. You know, because usually I like to lean way more into the color scheme that I pick for a lot. But I actually wanted to talk some more about my predictions for the future, aka your present. Why do I get the feeling that this video is going to end up being 70% predictions that are not going to come true, and then I'll make everybody sad that they didn't come true? But anyway, the expansion pack is not just called Death, it's called Life and Death. And so I'm like, what about the life part? The first thing that I immediately thought of was pregnancy overhaul. But then I was like, wouldn't that be way cooler to have as a base game update? And if it was part of a pack, shouldn't that have been in like Growing Together, for example? But if I've learned one thing about EA's track record with the packs, is that they have no plan. And so nothing makes sense. And so this is very well possible. Other than that, hasn't the community been asking for more things to do for elders? So maybe we're going to get more for them. Maybe we could get like a retirement home lot. That would be really cool. But I really don't know, especially because when I think of life, I really think more so of babies. As in, you know, not life in general. But like when it comes to The Sims 4 releasing a pack that is somehow life themed, I would more so expect something for babies. Oh no, maybe they're gonna add yet another system that is kind of like achievements from Growing Together or stuff like that, which I would hate, because that panel where you have like the traits and the lifestyles and also those, whatever they're called, I can't remember, but the achievement thingies from Growing Together, that panel is already so full. Maybe like a memory system, like a proper memory system. I guess that would maybe be cool, but I'm kind of tired of these systems. We have so many, like I said. But anyway, here in this clip, I had another look at my campsite on the other lot, because again, since they're in the same neighborhood for my save file, I wanted to kind of make them match. And I kind of thought right now I'm kind of doing a little bit of a bad job at making them match. So I kind of tried to turn my funeral home into a little bit more of a cabin-y style. I really don't know how well I managed to make the match, but I think it's okay. I think it works out fine. And I even made some more structural changes to it as well because I thought the roof looked kind of empty. So I kind of added like a little tower for literally no reason other than to make it look more interesting. And usually I don't really talk about what is going on in the community at the time that I'm recording the voiceovers because then you would notice how long it takes me to actually upload these videos. But I feel like I've dated this video enough at this point to a point where it doesn't matter anymore. So we just got a huge swatch update. And I'm kind of like, no, that would have probably been useful to have here. Maybe between now and when I actually upload this, I could like go through and see if I can like find any items here where a newer swatch would look better and I can change it up. So if you download this and anything here has like a really different color, you know what happened. Also, while we are on the topic, I would like to make another prediction. Oh no, it's gonna be so bad, isn't it? Everything's gonna be false, isn't it? But like I said, we got like a teaser where they told us the name of the expansion pack, Life and Death. And in that teaser, a lot of it was really straightforward. Like they just told us the name of the expansion packs and also of the kits that are coming out. Like, are they coming out today? I can't even remember. I don't really care about the kids. But there was like different tarot cards, right? And the last one was quite mysterious. But you could like see different Sims worlds on there. And I'm kind of like, what do you think that means? You know, I really still want like a create your own world tool thing for this game, and especially with the, for me, recent announcement that The Sims 5 is not happening and that we're going to have to deal with The Sims 4 for a lot longer than anybody probably wants. I feel like they could do it. Come on, for me, please. A prediction that is maybe more realistic though is that it's not going to be like a full create a world tool, but maybe they're going to change some things to like the manage worlds screen where you can now customize worlds more. Like, wouldn't it be cool if they just let us place items outside of our lots? I feel like in this case, for example, in this neighborhood, I've decided that this is going to be like a foresty area in my save file, right? And so it would be really cool if I had the abilities to add some more trees to this area outside of the lots. And I obviously have no idea how the game works, but I feel like that can't be that hard to do, right? Come on. And I think it could be really cool for save files as well, if they actually let us rename worlds as well as the neighborhoods. Because, you know, you can already like edit a world description, so why not let us edit the other text thingies as well? Oh, and another thing that they've announced for me recently is that there is going to be like a in-game event, something to do with the Grim Reaper. I can't remember what it's called. I haven't really looked into it as much yet, but apparently the last reward for that is like a casket, and I was just like, that would have been so useful to have here. Either way, I should maybe talk about the build some more. So as you saw, I kind of added a little toilet house in the bottom left corner, along with some tables and a grill. That was simply because I also wanted to have some bathrooms on here, so we have that covered as well. And then I kind of just had some awkward empty space, so I was just like, you know, little picnic, little grill area, whatever. And I actually did this really cool thing where I like used the picnic tables, and I got another table with a little parasol umbrella thingy on top, whatever those are called, and I like placed the table inside of the picnic table so that it looks like the picnic table actually has these parasols. We do have picnic tables with these parasols in other packs, but not in the base game. And I never thought of doing this, but this way you can actually just recreate them very easily in the base game. And I also tested it, and your Sims can still sit here. They don't actually mind that it's clipping into each other at all. And then you could also see me decorate the graves a little bit. I didn't do too much, I just placed some candles and some flowers in front of some of them. All of these graves here are basically just placeholders for your Sims. Maybe I should have explained that earlier, but the idea basically here is that you can just replace these placeholder graves with your own if you have a Sim that dies. You can just just click on these fake gravestones and there's a little option that says destroy. And you can just click that and it'll disappear, and then you can place your own grave in that spot. And then obviously if you also want to change up the decoration, you can just go into build mode and change it like that. And you might really be wondering what is happening on screen right now. I was too busy talking about the graves just then to explain. But I decided to build like a little mausoleum in the back of this lot. And I was like, you know what? It's kind of boring here at the minute. What if I added something to make it more fun? So I added a little secret club that you can access using the mausoleum. And actually, because this place is so small, when people get here, it actually looks really busy for once. Because, you know, usually I feel like the game doesn't really spawn in enough people for a lot of the lots. But anyway, with that, we are already onto the final tour. And this ends up being a bit awkward because there is so much outside space here, so I never really know how I want to show those off properly. But I hope you can still get a good look of everything. Also, I feel like this lot overall isn't very Halloween-y. I kind of wanted to make it more Halloween-y for Halloween. I am still playing my Halloween-y-ish Mario music, so at least we have that. On the topic of that secret club, right? It's so funny to me. It's like, if I had a nickel for every time that I built a secret club in a basement on a lot, I'd have 2. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Also, if you don't really like the secret club, you can just delete it or ignore it. In fact, I actually made sure, because I really care about Sims behaving correctly on my lots, I made sure that they walk around the lot, because the stairs to the little club can be accessed from the back. So if you don't like having all of these people here, all of these party goers, they won't even like, you know, walk across the lot, they'll go around. So that way we kind of have like the serious graveyard part and the kind of goofy underground club part separated a bit, and so those Sims won't annoy you when they show up here. I'm overall so happy how this came out, and I think this is a much better version compared to the first version that I had. So I think this renovation was overall a success. And we are nearing the end here, so I want to say thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, you'll also like the others that I have in the playlist where I build some more on my save file. And usually here at the end, I kind of tease what happens in my next video. But this time around, there won't be another one for a while. Because you see, this was the last one in my batch. If you're new here, I'm kind of like Netflix. I release seasons and then I disappear for a while because, you know, I have uni exams to pass. But so I'll see you when I have the next batch of videos ready. Okay, bye!